Okay, I will now call to order the Town of Elon Town Council meeting for June 13th, 2023. If all who are able will please rise for the pledge of allegiance. All right, first item on our agenda is the motion to approve by reference to items listed on the consent agenda.
Letter A, Town Council meeting minute, May 9th, 2023, regular meeting, May 22nd, 2023, regular meeting and work session.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to public comment. This is for general concerns and wishes for the town by members of the public that are not part of the public comment section or item on the agenda. So again, if you're here for the public hearing related to development, or any other agenda item that's not that point in the meeting, this is general public comment. So if anyone would like to share general public comment, please stand and state your address and your name, please.
My name is Douglas Bradshaw. I understand that it's a public town meeting.
Yes.
Okay. This nation was founded under God. I could have said I would be God. The first thing I see was just on this agenda. It's June 5. God knows.
Any other public comment? Any online?
No.
We're gonna have to go to the public comment section. Moving on to proclamation.
Before you head on, do you want to just let folks know about Stephanie not being here?
Yes, so you may notice that Ms. Borland is not here. She continues to have a health issue that she is dealing with, and our thoughts and prayers are certainly with her. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that letter B under new business is being moved to under proclamation unless there are any. Sorry about that. All right, so moving on to proclamation. So our proclamation are June as Pride Month, Juneteenth proclamation in July, and Pardon Recreation Month. And you can find those proclamations all on the website if you wish to read those. All right. So moving on, new business, letter B, petition MVP 2023-01, Data Development Plan for Elon University. So we'll start with the presentation.
Mayor, members of the board, good evening. So the first case that I have for you this evening, is petition MVP 2023-01. It's a request by the applicant, Brad Moore, on behalf of the property owner, Elon University. And it's for a 1,766 square foot open air pavilion for student group gatherings and a 237 square foot unconditioned furniture storage space. And that's to be located on parcel 115425, located at the southeast corner of North Antioch Avenue and College Avenue. And the property is currently zoned public institution, the site plan, and the rendering on the screen in front of you, but it's a little bit difficult to see, so I kind of put it on its own screen, just so you can kind of see a blow up of the screen. So I'm facing for the crowd here. At the very top, you see the back of the Hillel Center, with a sidewalk going back to the pavilion in the rear of the property. And the very front portion is all open, and then in the very back, that long narrow line, is the enclosed furniture storage area. And then behind that, you see the buffer. And this is just a rendering of what you're saying. Again, you can kind of see the enclosed area along the back. So the parcel currently contains a single-family dwelling, which is used for the Hillel Center, one single-family dwelling that's used for faculty offices, and two open parking lots for university use. The proposed pavilion site is located behind the Hillel Center at the southeast corner of the intersection. And then we just have some Google imagery because it works the best. So this is a view of the property from the front facing the Hillel Center. This is a view facing southeast from North Antioch Avenue. This is if you were traveling north, so you're facing northeast on North Antioch Avenue. To the west, north, and east of the site are university buildings and recreational uses. That's on land that is zoned public institutional. To the south, you can see the two yellow squares. Those are both single-family dwellings on land that's zoned suburban residential. The landscaping plan states for this project that all LDO requirements shall be met. And staff and TRC committee will review the landscaping plan during construction plan review. There is a requirement that includes a 15-foot wide rear buffer installation for the LDO. The Envision Elon 2040 comprehensive plan identifies the site as institutional. Institutional areas include Elon University and other campus-style development and large-style civic and governmental uses. The proposed accessory structure meets the future land use classification and goals and objectives listed in the comprehensive plan. The technical review committee reviewed this plan at their April 26th meeting and recommended approval of it. So staff recommendation based on the information contained in this report, staff recommends approval of the requested major development plan. The planning board did hear this case at their April 15th, 2023 meeting. The board voted unanimously 7-0 to approve this major development plan with the condition that the required 15-foot buffer along the rear of the property contain a variety of evergreen species to provide a year-round buffer. I think our current code requires a mixture of deciduous and evergreen. And there were some concerns brought up by the neighboring property owner. So the planning board proposed this condition that the entirety of it is a year-round buffer, and the applicant did agree to that condition. I have some suggested motions on the screen for you. And if you have any questions for me at this time, I'd be happy to answer them. Also, I'm representing from the university here as well. If you have any questions for me. If you think it wasn't what's required for our codes, regardless.
I guess what I'm getting at, property line on the back of that property is much longer than 15 foot. So what does the buffer do? What's the 15 foot?
So the buffer is 15 feet in depth. Let me get to the parcel map.
That's what I didn't see anything.
So you can see, well, let me go here. So you can see here along the rear of the property, the buffer travels, and the 15 feet is the depth from the back property line up to the.
So it's set on.
Yes, so the
Okay.
actual setback is 10 feet, but because we require a 15-foot deep buffer, they push the pavilion up 5 feet in order to get the 15-foot buffer. Right, And again. Sorry, this I keep hitting the wrong clicker. So they're kind of showing a mixture there of, you see the trees, and then you see the shrubs. But again, since this was originally submitted, we kind of tweaked that buffer, so you're still going across that periphery of that rear yard. It's gonna be staggered in the different.
There's no buffer along.
Correct, the only thing, on. Can't really see much on the area, I think you see a couple of trees. But no, it's just where it butts a, single family residential zoning district. So as I said, on the other side, you have the university zones that would be required to buffer it. You can see there's some trees along it anyway, I don't know. The buffer.
There would be no requirement to have a, it's almost like a beach trail. There's no requirement for fences on property,
Requirements for,
or if they were to hold a concert or something.
so we're treating, so what they're asking for is an accessory use, an air pavilion. I mean, whatever would, I guess, fit within the, what did it say, was 17 square feet. Which I think the university can also test as the occupancy. I can't remember the exact number that would fit in there.
I would see it as drawn as 68 people. And go back to your question about events, so any of that's gonna be in there, but you're the university, and it would have to meet all of the noise ordinance.
One, everything people in her backyard and what would be the limitations? Same thing.
And so if a person came in and wanted to do like an open air, a normal residential pavilion, it would not be going through this process. The way the current LDO is written, is that anything non-residential goes through this process.
And the property to the south. Well, I know what, understand where it's. What is its current use? I know that, oh, okay.
It's me.
Okay, you call like you need one minute. Okay. Any other questions for Lori?
I do.
Your name, please.
Jean Lowe,
Could you sign in?
I did sign in, but I didn't click the speak because I couldn't move it either. Are there circles at the bottom, Laura? Are they my lawn?
Yeah, that's the trees that they're proposing on their property. They, as required in the current code, they have to have the large deciduous trees in evergreen. So, but their new, as we discussed, the new plan would change, and it would be reviewed during technical review.
It looks like it's gonna be closer in my yard than it is in theirs. Why is it gonna be, why isn't it gonna be closer to the house,
The pavilion or the landscape?
to their house?
So per our code, they're required to have a 10-foot rear setback. They have to move it up 5 feet, because of the buffering requirement, as we discussed, the 15 feet, but that might be a question for the university as to why they located it.
Why do
Further
they
back
wanna
on
put
the
it
property.
almost in my yard instead of their? Yeah, but you have it has a big backyard. And I just wondered why it wasn't, it's supposed to be for their functions, so why isn't it closer to the house, their house, than in mine?
Lauren, would you just, stand up and share your general comment on this item, please? If you're able, I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. Of course, I'm not. And they, it was all up before that they use tents every time, well, they do. I recall one time they had a tent. But my objection is that it looks like it's gonna be more in my backyard than their own. And yes, I object to that.
Have you had an opportunity to have any discussions with the university about your concerns outside of?
And to taking care of that part.
So it's good for them. It may not be appealing to you. I guess the question was, what kind of buffer fence would they create to separate your property from their property?
Well, if they put the pavilion closer to their house, it's supposed to be for functions, they're gonna be bringing food in or doing whatever from the house to the pavilion supply and closer to the house and in my backyard. If I wanted a pavilion, I'm sure I would get one, but I don't care.
Let me ask a really quick design question. It looks like the back has a wall on it, or is that all wide open?
That does have a wall, so that.
Sound like the-
So the storage area is gonna be to my yard.
We decided any noise would be thrown towards our property instead of to the rear.
The only other thing I saw was here that you had a pretty large tree that was situated in such a place. Yeah, see the circle right there. And I was maybe they placed it so they didn't have to cut down trees.
Well, if you go between those two, it's two birches. Which is closer to their,
Yeah, I was just trying to say. That my hope is that we won't cut the 15-foot buffer. Okay, well, anyway, I just that. What did you do to the design? to make the hardship today?
The university would lose some of that open space, so I know students like to use it for games, just to have area flags. It's not covered. But it would be, I mean, the parcel would be cut down where there would be less usable space for activities at the house.
Would the university consider putting the pavilion between the two homes closer to like where the community garden is? So then you could still have the rear of the Hillel Center as open space for the pavilion. More situated, you know, away from the Sludge property or back.
The pavilion is specifically for the development. They raise the funds.
Oh, I don't remember.
Wondering if maybe there isn't a possibility to maybe facilitate a conversation between the university and the Sludge to see if maybe there are any contingencies that would make it work for both parties. Have a conversation.
I'm speaking a bit out of turn, so I'm not a planner down here, but I mean, you do have an application in front of you. If I suspect if the applicant were willing to, if you're not voting tonight, then they have the opportunity for 2 weeks to take something up. If you are voting tonight, then obviously not, but that's, you can let them know that you're gonna vote in 2 weeks and they have that ability to do that. We can certainly help with that if either party would like the town to.
I mean, putting myself in his low shoes, I wouldn't want that in my backyard. I think it's an awesome facility. I think it would be excellent for the students and be excellent on university property, but this is an instance where there's going to be essentially a center in the backyard.
I will say, I think the item was presented to you to vote in 2 weeks. I don't believe it was the intention.
I think trying to work things out between the parties. I think 2 weeks. Maybe initial. What I got from Rich is it's gonna be up to them.
Or can you just reach out to them for me and see if we can at least have a discussion about what would be some of Ms. Lowe's concerns, if anything, so that we can at least have that information before they. Any other thoughts before we move on? All right. Now for the main event, our public hearing. The petition CRZ 2022-04 parking conditional rezoning. Just to give everyone kind of an idea of how this will go, so Lori, our planning director, will make a presentation. The board has not heard this presentation, so it's other than what is in the information. We will ask questions of Lori, and we may also have questions of the developer, and then we will open up. And I'll go over this. Parameters.
Evening, Mayor, members of the board. I would like to begin by stating that all state statutes have been met for this public hearing. At this time, I would like to submit my staff report into the record. The request that you have before you tonight is for a conditional district rezoning. North Carolina general statute allows towns, cities, and counties to have zoning ordinances, in our case, MDO, that includes conditional districts. in which site plans and individualized development conditions, can be imposed. And any conditions imposed upon that site must be agreed upon by both the town and the applicant. This is not a general rezone. It's a very site-specific rezoning or requested site-specific rezoning with a very specific site plan. So the conditional district rezoning request, CRZ 2022-04, can everyone hear me at the back of the room?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure. Was submitted by Tony Tate, of TNTLA Associates on behalf of the property owner, Cablebury LLC. The project is located on parcels 110296, 11672, and the northeast portion of parcel 116971. And they're all situated just above University Drive. So these parcels are currently zoned NRTNDO, which is Neighborhood Residential Traditional Neighborhood Development Overlay. BCTNDO, which is Village Center Traditional Neighborhood Overlay, and SR, which is Suburban Residential. So uses allowed under the current zoning as it stands today on the site include single-family detached houses, apartments, townhomes, commercial uses, offices, restaurants, and multifamily on the western portion of the parcel. The eastern portion currently today only allows single-family detached homes. So as I stated, the requested rezoning you have is to URCPD, which stands for Urban Residential Conditional Planning District. It is intended for the development of a single-family neighborhood subject to specific conditions. So on the screen in front of you, again, is the existing zoning map, and you can kind of see the yellow is the SR. The pinkish reddish color is the BC, with that little pivot of orange being the NR, and it has a TND overlay. The parcel is currently located within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the town of Elon, and must be annexed into the town, if approved, in order to access the water and sewer. So back to my friend, Mr. Google Maps, we have a couple of views of the property. So if you're standing at the corner of Shalford Church Road, and University facing northeast, onto the property, that's kind of what you're looking at right there at that corner. So this is the intersection of Shalford Church Road and Elon Ossipee Road. Kind of like if I'm looking at the Campbell Square view, heading on to Shalford Church. Now we're facing southeast towards the property. And you can also see the existing home there. That if this project were to be approved, that home, you can kind of see the columns of it, would be demolished prior to construction. Traveling south on east of University Drive, so this is if you're traveling southeast, facing the property, and you can kind of see, looking at the property, you can kind of see that grade change there with the tree line. So on the next one, you're traveling northwest on the property on University Drive. Again, you can kind of just see that tree line there. And lastly, this is the view if you're traveling north on Cable Road. Facing the east side of the property boundary. It's the existing tree canopy. Shown on the screen is the environmental assessment map that was done for the property. It shows the existing streams and wetlands. Just so you know, the property does contain, or the parcels rather, contain an existing stream protection overlay, which shall remain on the site. So now we've ventured to the actual site plan itself. The project will consist of, you've got it on the screen in front of you, it will consist of two access points into the site. One coming from Shalford Church Road, and one connecting through to the Cable Road community. And that Cable Road subdivision is an existing subdivision in the east day. Phase one is on to the right side of the map. It will consist of 44 single-family dwelling units and 25 single-family attached dwelling units. And I say attached, and if you saw the visual, which I'll show you in a second, the middle section is attached in the rear. So it's not quite a townhome, it's not quite a single family, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. So the front portion of the house, I can't remember if it's 6, 8 feet, has rear of the house. So that is the middle section of the site plan. That section, along with the single family on to the right, is proposed for phase one. Phase two will be the additional single family attached dwelling units, which are on the western side of the property, closest to Shelterford Road. The project will consist of 14.9 acres of common open space, which will include a 10,800 square foot courtyard, a 21,500 square foot courtyard, and a 40,000 square foot park. And also a greenway, which we'll talk about a little later, will run vertically through the development to the northern boundary of the property. And while we're kind of talking about the access points into the subdivision, the North Carolina State Fire Code Appendix B does state where developments of one or two family dwellings where the number exceeds 30, that they shall provide two separate fire access routes. So on the screen in front of you are the deviations that were listed in the requested site plan in the booklet that you have in front of you. I am not going to go through it. In the interest of time, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Also, the zoning offer conditions were also included in your packet. In the interest of time, I'm not going to read all 7 of them. I will state that they or the last several, number 21 through 27, were added in at the planning board meeting, in particular to address some of the concerns that were brought about by the board members and the neighbors in the adjacent community. On the next screen, we just have some visuals or some renderings that were taken from the site plan. And although I know it's kind of difficult to see here on this lower one on the right-hand side, it's in between the houses right there is that little gap that I talked about. So that's the product in the middle section of the development. And then, of course, single family also, and then they also show.
Was it like a row home? Or is it like 2 units and then there's a division and then there's 2 more units?
So it's
You
like
said they're connected, all connected.
they're connected in the rear, so say that there's a grouping of 6 of them. So kind of like a townhome, except in between each of those at the front, you've got that little gap of 6 to 8 feet. So I'm guessing they didn't have windows to let natural light in, but as you get further into the rear of the house, then they would be connected with the very rear. So you still have grouping.
But it's house after house, so it's not just 2.
Technical Review Committee reviewed this project at their February 23rd, March 8th, and March 23rd meetings. At those meetings, DOT determined that a CIA or traffic analysis would not be required as the project did not meet their threshold requirements for a study. At that final TRC meeting, the TRC did approve, or recommend approval of the conditions for the zoning ordinance. On March 28th, 2023, the Park East applicant and their development team held an input meeting here at the town hall. And some of the concerns included, but not limited to, was a variation in the current versus the proposed zoning, the traffic safety, pedestrian safety for the families out there in the community, the road conditions in the Spanish Oaks neighborhood, the buffers in between the community, and potential stormwater and drainage issues. So the Envision Elon 2040 comprehensive plan identifies the site as neighborhood living, parks, and open space and conservation area. And staff proposes that this plan meets the adopted future land use plan classification, restrictions, goals, and objectives of the comprehensive plan. And that's just a visual showing you that future land use map that's contained in the Envision Elon 2040 plan. Goals and objectives within the comprehensive plan that are being met by this plan were included in your packet, and they're also on the screens in front of you. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through and read each of the goals. There were several goals included that were met by this plan. Staff then reviewed the plan for compliance with the 2017 Elon bicycle pedestrian and lighting plan. When presented with this plan, the applicant and members meeting along with staff discussed ways for the project to be improved in accordance with the goals and objectives of that specific plan. So as a result, which was depicted on the previous map, a green lane was added to the plan that extends from the 40,000 square foot park located in the south of the project area to the northernmost property boundary. And we're starting here, it expands from this is the trail to the park. And it goes across the street and then it goes all the way up. Yes. This is it. This, yeah.
The bottom, where does it connect to Greenway? 'Cause that's University Drive.
Okay, so it stops at the trip, let me get the right one. So right here, you got trail access to the park. So there's a 40,000, or the 1 acre park right here, so the greenway stops and lets you out right into the park. And then goes across. And the pedestrian lighting plan envisions a greenway going all the way up. Into the forest oaks, or it goes, follows that stream through Elon, that's what they're envisioning the future maintenance of. And since it was depicted on that plan, selected by the developer, we did show it. There would need to be some boardwalks because there's some stream crossings, there might be some. Places they would want on that to be compliant. Those are my wet spots.
Just to be clear, they're putting it on their development site. That doesn't mean that it extends to something that's already there.
Correct.
Oh.
Right, it's just on the development side. The greenway will be built to LPO standards, initially maintained by the HOA, with maintenance transferred over to the town of Yukon after 2 years' time, and it will be accessible to the public. So this was new for us because we don't really have greenways, in Elon. So we worked with the Parks and Rec director, who then reached out to our neighboring communities to find out what they do, for example, in Burlington and other jurisdictions. And they said, you do want to take over maintenance of the greenway because you want it publicly accessible. Otherwise, it's a greenway. And so that's why that's considered on the written section. In addition, sidewalks will be provided on both sides of the street throughout the development and down the western side of the property, Jolly Bird Church Road, to increase the walkability. The feasibility of, thank you, of a sidewalk along the southern property was discussed. So we did discuss that length with the applicant. Simply getting a sidewalk, let's go right along. Well, you see where I'm trying to go, along University Drive. This is sort of the line. But unfortunately, it was concluded that the sidewalk spanning University would be difficult due to the dramatic nature of the product drop off, severely right there. A potential future transit stop has also been added to the plan to encourage future connection to local transit services that could connect the residents to the surrounding community, especially the future.
Was there?
Yeah, but there would be on the whole western boundary.
So it'd be curving. Curving guttering.
I don't know if they determined, I'm trying to think of. DOT roads, that would, they would determine if it's, curb and gutter to be behind the ditch. Information contained in this report, staff recommends approval of the requested conditional district rezoning to URCPD, along with the requested deviations and the proper site plan conditions contained in the packet. So at the my clicker. So at the April 8th board meeting, Mary Packman was here. She presented this to the board. And several of these lovely folks were here at this meeting as well. And there were lots of concerns that were brought to the planning board. So due to the nature of the concern from the community, the planning board decided to table the item to allow staff to obtain some additional information from NCDOT and also to allow board members to visit the neighborhood the exit site. So at that point, Mary Catherine and I met with DOT. We met with Chuck Edwards, who is our district engineer, and Tarsa Felton, who is the assistant district engineer. And prior to our meeting, Mr. Edwards reviewed the data that was gathered from the TIA from the adjacent Park Northwest development. Because as I said, no formal TIA would be required by NCDOT for Park E due to the insufficient trip generation, which is less than 1,000. Mr. Edwards began by explaining the history of the roads, which were incorporated into the DOT system in the 1960s. And that is the plot that I have on the screen in front of you. So you can actually see, so we have Spanish O, right here. And you can see how the subdivision was originally platted. And the roads were in fact initially gravel roads. And then they were subsequently paved by NCDOT. The curve that exists on Cable Road, it causes some concern among the residents. As you can see on the screen, was in fact platted originally as a right turn, 90-degree turn, which over time has changed. So this is the aerial of that. And again, you can kind of see how this 90-degree turn has kind of warped now into like a curve. And that curve was mentioned quite a bit during the framework. So DOT stated that the turn is currently operating acceptably, as there is little evidence or reports that vehicles have veered off the road. Because of property boundaries and the placement of the DOT right of way, there's approximately 5 feet of possible space for the inside of the curve and sliding. So again, I'm gonna try to use my clicker. So you can kind of see where the pavement is right here, and you can see the corner of this property. So one thought was maybe bringing some additional pavement in here to kind of soften this turn, while not encroaching on that. Widening beyond that 5 feet would require the property owner bordering that turn to indicate additional right of way for DOT. The conditions of the two roads in general also assessed, and Mr. Edwards stated that the 20-foot wide pace of the inner streets appear to be structurally adequate for residential parking. If you're on the state, the Cable Road and Spanish Fork Road are scheduled for resurfacing in fiscal year 2025. Although it is stated that the road has an estimated 5 more years of life.
You said residential traffic, obviously that includes emergency vehicles as well, so it's sufficient for emergency vehicles.
So Mr. Edwards provided some estimates on traffic generation, which was included in your packet. He went on to state that assuming that 40% of the trips generated by Park East, he didn't know if it would be that high a number, but just assuming that 40% of the cars leaving that site decided to head east and use it actually Cable Road, that the traffic on Cable Road would double from its current rate of 30 trips per day to 60 trips. And he said that number is still considered a small volume by year. The Cable Road and Spanish Oak Road were stated to be capable of handling the additional traffic. That information was brought back to the planning board at their May 16th meeting. And presented to the board. At the board meeting, after the board meeting heard the information, regulations concerned, the board initially voted to approve the rezoning. It was agreeable that it did not pass. If that was passed, I'd like to ask for revotes. So at that point, the planning board did not and the vote was 5-2. I don't know if you want me to go through the specific reasons. I did list them in your packets, why some of the members voted against it. It wasn't enough conversation. They had some traffic and on the line budget. Location. And then we had one who spoke in favor of the proposal statement. The proposal was about the downzoning, and that the applicant could a lot more intense uses by right under their current plan. But after the planning board meeting, after the voting occurred, and the room kind of cleared, I was asked by the board about the possibility of speed tables or crosswalks in the proposed development. I did remind the board members about the two proposed chicanes, which is a narrowing of the roadway that is already proposed in the development. And I also provided the planning board with the image of a raised crosswalk, which was included in your packet, which is kind of similar to the crosswalk on East Haggard, and everyone's been over that one. And the board asked that I share that rendering with the town council. Again, that rendering was included in your packet, and then I also just Googled some other kind of raised crosswalks. Kind of roughly what they look like. Sometimes you see the brick in the middle. Sometimes they're just areas in the middle. But there was a discussion about potentially having one on the eastern side of the development to maybe discourage traffic. Cable road.
I'm still not sure what was the stop in the development side.
Yes. So the planning board did it specifically, what we were thinking, obviously, and this is, kind of hard to see here. I know not the best plan, but you have two chicanes that kind of narrows down. I think it's right here and right here that narrows the roads, but possibly maybe putting a speed table or two, I don't know, something down on this end to discourage the traffic to not want this. Road, if no one likes driving the speed bump. So again, it was just a thought that was kind of floating, and they asked that I share the speed table diagram with them.
What is your opinion on speed table?
Yeah, typically I do oppose any type of speed bump, or speed table. But given the proximity to the traffic location, I just feel like that would for a table. Table is less impactful on our traffic.
What's the speed you go?
We have slowed down quite a bit, but it's a gradual, so that caused us to slam the truck. on.
More possible motion, looking, like the figure not voting on this case tonight. I just reminded you that they are. And if you have any questions for me at this time, I'd be happy to answer them. The developer and his team are here as well. I think they have a super short, like 3, 4, 5 PowerPoint presentations on this. Questions for Lori? Anybody else?
And the concern about street width and turn lane, was that addressed?
What was addressed through the TRC committee, and everything was compliant with both DOT and more importantly, the fire department and engineering as well.
And in another neighborhood, we looked at driveway to avoid parking on the street. Is that something that was addressed in this?
Yes, that is one of the conditions. I should have the demo. Number 13. And this is the same, I think it's a carryover, actually, the same exact language from the other development. Single family detached and attached lot shall provide a minimum of 18 linear feet of parking space between the garage door and public sidewalk.
So my concern is, we talk about this good time. Go forward from 55, right? Which we forward get into 18 good parking space. Be able to walk around it, not block sidewalk. I don't think that blocks the sidewalk. That's part of the sit, that's part of the song. People. There you go. These up here. unfortunately, we don't have our new land manager. Ready to be pursued. All of this is being addressed. We have to just-
The 29 foot. Back to that. What is the DP?
Back to back curve, yeah. back to curve. Yes,
It's obviously larger than the 20.
and we worked those numbers, I don't want to say ad nauseam, but we did, to get numbers that were compliant. That made the fire chief happy for his things, outriggers that come out.
I knew that was a one thing that I didn't appreciate, so.
Mayor, I was gonna mention, small greenways, that greenway tracks. When they leak some. My concern is that greenway, even though it would be publicly maintained, not really accessible easily to the rest of the citizens.
But it is on our bike, lighting and pedestrian, right? Because eventually it's supposed to.
Yeah, I know, so the plan, like I said, to continue to go up north, northeast, and after we went through this, with Mary Catherine, I said, maybe we should ask for like, just a loop here, because you're right, as now they're going to the property line, and we don't know if we connect, we hope that one day we can, our plan, it shows connection. So right now you go from the southern area where the property is, so basically the southern portion of the site. And I don't know if the team that was, the length of.
Open, thinking the plan.
And for your day, always top line.
It's hard to see, you think about it on that plan of, Yeah. You can see that green line going through the site, that's the green line. It kind of goes up, goes to the right, and then further north. And then eventually carries route 87, when you do have to make that connection on 87 on the town donated property that they property.
I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, there's a microscope here. Maybe I can zoom in on you.
Going dead end to dead end, it will actually connect to something that actually.
No, within the site, it goes from base to property boundary.
Yeah.
Because that's all we can ask for, but our plan calls for it, to eventually extend a 71 days.
All of this by a developer who would, there's nothing we can do about it.
I mean, they're in essence creating the first piece. And yes, we have the ability to work with future property owners or future developers to have them do it, or work with property owners to see if they would allow us to do it across their land. So it's not quite as, oh, we just have to wait for more development.
Isn't that the same property that was abandoned? Yeah, that's just wondering. Okay.
Most questions about it?
You need to go to the end.
Can you go back to, yeah, can you go back to the slide that shows the current zoning? The northernmost property is the one. That is the north. And it can, so just knowing that there's three different zonings currently. What is allowable for the fire?
So your yellow and your orange, so your SR and your MR are primarily single family. The larger pinkish color in the middle is your village center. And what you also have to consider is that hash mark over it. So it goes over the pink area and the orange. And that is your TV overlay. So traditional neighborhood overlay is very different from your conventional large. The existing zoning is saying we don't want this conventional large lot subdivision out there. We want higher intense density. We want a mixture of. In fact, it's a requirement of the current zoning that you do a mixture of uses, such as detached houses between 15 to 50%. Attached homes and apartments need to be between 10 to 30% of the project. Live work units need to be between 2 and 10%. Live work is where you work downstairs, you live upstairs, and then multifamily dwellings above commercial is 5 to 20%. So I looked at what could be done under the current site. And I even talked to the existing development team because our current ordinance doesn't list a density cap. Like, for example, it doesn't say you can have 8 apartments per acre. You basically have to calculate your setbacks. You have to calculate your required parking and make sure that. Along with recognizing any impervious that you might have to do stormwater. So we kind of looked at the uses under the current zoning, and came up with approximately, if it were to be developed today, you could do roughly 75,000 square feet of commercial in that area, which could be comprised of a mixture of restaurant, commercial, and office. You could do the single family, because again, that yellow portion is not really changing the SR. But you would also add now into the mix in district 61 multifamily apartments and 5 more. Again, this would be a requirement because the current zoning says you have to do a mixture. I like what they did across the street at Park Northwest with the commercial and first floor apartments, have them single family. So that's what the existing zoning would ask for today. By right as it's currently done.
And it's currently zoned. So conditional zoning is a mixture. Let's say they came in, pitched us, they would have apartments, 75,000 square feet. Would we, this might be a rich question as well, would we be allowed to say no to that? Oh, it's all the requirements that are LDO.
So if it met the current LDO, the question would be why, I guess, you could be bringing it to you. Because it sounds like it would be something that can be handled between staff and CFC. Now, perhaps the way our current LDO is written, you still have that major development plan component that might come before you, but they would be basically bringing you a plan that they say, hey, we need the code verbatim. So it would probably be a bit challenging to find reasons for ways to deny it if all they're saying is bringing you a plan that's compliant with the existing
Yeah.
be able to work with them.
Because I think if I'm understanding correctly, the North Carolina General Assembly, there's a statute, I think, 160, that's like vested rights, to allow, zoning, if it's currently zoned, that we could, if they meet all the requirements, we couldn't say no to it, potentially based on the laws. So what they're proposing now is no apartments, no.
No, restaurant, no. It's single family, it's a variation of single family. It goes from your detached to the hybrid in the middle to the.
So knowing that it's not normal that we get a request for lower density than what's allowed. So my question is, why did you decide not to put apartment, commercial? I'm assuming that you would make more money if you did that, but I wanted to understand because I know this was brought up at the planning board and their notes, that question was, why would you ask for a down zoning?
Here we go. Is the wind blowing? Appropriate. We would be cultivating the existing zoning. Probably 75,000 square feet, but it would be restaurants, it would be apartments. It could be a similar number of units. It would be a different variation, it would be very comparable to what we're proposing right now. It probably would be 4 times the amount of time. I live more, so I can appreciate the lifestyle. Feel like what we proposed here, very complimentary, their lifestyle while transitioning towards that intersection. Their issues. Sure. Notice that there's a 30-foot buffer. Thing. I noticed that also that big hill, from University all the way down. Is that comprised 30 feet or is it more than 30 feet or 30 feet from a setback already?
Buffers always measured from the property line, and forgive me, I have to get to the site and refresh on it, because I think the buffer varies, so in and around the property. And they were exceeding the buffer requirements, so I think they were trying to provide larger buffers. So yes, you have there, you had a 30-foot along University, you've got 20 feet.
30 foot there on.
15, but you've got 30 feet. Yes, so they're kind of exceeding the 15-foot normal buffer requirement. I think obviously we know the cable road looks to provide the buffer for the existing community. And same with University. It is measured from the property line, so there's probably somewhere that's shut down. I'm guessing, I'm not sure how
I
high.
was just gonna say that. So Rhode Day, is roughly 2,000 feet. That's not condition. Outlet, no strong condition there. got like a traffic choker here, which is out in the roadway. Down here, there is another traffic choker, which is a tightening of the right of way. You also have the two curves. Proposing a crosswalk here, with Greenway Trail. Folks touched on that. So that Greenway Trail, it would be the first leg to the Greenway system. And we would have it terminating in this gazebo, wooded play picnic area down here. But it would also go up here. We would be building a raised boardwalk or bridge. So whoever picks up the access to carry on the Greenway Trail. But we've got a crosswalk here already proposed, and then we've got another stop condition here. So if you factor in the curves, and factor in everything we're doing, 7 like traffic mitigation houses in there, right? I'm not opposed to putting the crosswalk in the traffic table there in conjunction. That would be approved. That creates some comfort with the rest.
Patient or to intervene on the to intervene on.
If you marry the traffic table in with the crosswalk. I'm going to speak to the fire department. It seems like much. Everything else that is going on that 2,000-foot long road. It creates some comfort with the road.
Worry. All right. So we will go ahead and transition to the public hearing. He's the first person.
Oh,
Yes, but I just want to go over the parameters. So in our draft town council manual, they are the hearing guidelines. Any member of the public who needs to speak must provide their name and address on the sign-in sheet as entered the council chambers in advance of the meeting start. Members of the public will be called on to speak from the sign-in sheet. Each member of the public will be granted 3 minutes. Speakers should be concise and avoid repetition. Comments should be directed to the full town council and not to any individual staff member or member of her team. Attendees should refrain from applauding and speaking from the audience, and town council members will not engage in two-way dialogue during the hearing. And we will start, and I have Jeremy sign up as first person. All right, we have David Emmy. I may have said that wrong.
That's all right. Most people do. They stand up here, so I'll hold myself up. In May, I came before the planning board and spoke to them. And a number of you were there then, a number of y'all spoke. And the planning board saw fit to deny the application 5-2. Which I think was a very good thing to do because it was a safety issue. That was the issue of the night, was safety. Of all the kids, all the elementary, high school, Elon, children in neighborhoods, all of them. Our neighborhood of Cable Square has children from 2 to 22 and adults from 22 in my age, which is pretty high. So I'm going to that. But when you think about it, when you take Elonosky coming into Shalford Church, there's a very short distance from the stop sign of the stop light to that intersection. The traffic, every piece of traffic that comes out of Cable Square has to turn onto Elon and then go on to Shalford and then go out and go on either on University or go across through every piece of it. Half of the traffic apparently from this plan will go this way and this way. And no exits onto University. And we're going to Shalford. Now, if that traffic on Shalford, which is only about 100 feet roughly above the intersection, comes in and fills up that gas stoplight between where we come out on the Elon Street and Elon Street comes on the Shalford, we can't get out at all. Unless we make a left turn, which would be actually worse to go against the traffic. We'd have all that traffic coming down there, blocking the red light area. We couldn't get out. The only four-way hand. Period. So, we have kids, we have school buses that stop right across the street from our entrance. Those kids, a lot of cars will park in our development, coming down on the stoplight, stop there and wait for kids to come in, or across the street on Elonosky. That's a dangerous situation for us in all that traffic. That truck's coming from down here on Elonosky or Shalford area, coming up, 18 wheels coming up, quite a lot from the plant in there. Another issue is the Elonosky. You will have students living in first, second, one. Those students have to get Elon. One would get Elon, crossing road. There's no crosswalk, it's safe. Either that's to do like Elon had done into a tunnel under the road or cross it. Won't be plans for either one of those. I think it's a safety issue. I think
Sorry, I'll call it. So next, we have Tracy Tate.
thing that you prep and bring everything. And large change or reducing. Still being developed by Report.
Thank you. Next we have Doug Bradshaw, 615 Cable Road.
Yeah.
Would you like to come up front? You don't have to.
I have to use the game. I'll say it. There've been here several things. And where I'm going, I don't think the DOT is right. With what they're saying, what the traffic on cable road is gonna be. So the family moves in there, and the man just said, you can't get out on Johnson Church. Cable Road, got two tops. One is to put one in the development and one power. Setting the phone. You come out of power is in the beginning. You can run that curve right above my house and it house that you showed at that point. This is solid ice. Pretty much all. 300 million stone. They can scrape it and feel it's a last thing that probably melt because it's so shaped. You will slide off on the road on the power line if you're trying to make a right hand turn or possibly a left hand turn. You must slide off. Okay. My daughter had to slid off trying to make that sharp curve that they come about widen. She slid straight into the woods. Didn't damage the car much, but it's still a dangerous curve. Two, I don't like the idea of a house being 6 to 8 feet apart. So the neighbor decided to keep it to the fence. That's what that accessibility for car park. And I'd like to know why these houses is gonna be made out of between on the side. I would vote it's going to be made out of brick. Now, what they proposing, and I'd like to know that. Also, you can be on college students, baseball team, softball team, girls team, they run through Cable Road and around the back. Okay. You know, remember years ago, the girls got hit on University Drive and purple for a breast block. I mean, things, all of this that happen. If you can figure something out. Figure some help. That's felt and then the key on it. The wall. That's the thing. The thing on college, that's all it is. It's one of the partners with that. And I'm also concerned about 51 foot yard. I live on 125 foot yard. And I hate to think that four houses will be built on that. And we would like, I would like to, and I'm sure everybody up here is in the area where we're gonna live, where we'll live, we live. Now, I mean, they were down a 2-story house, not 2.5. Afraid. Thank you.
Question, that brought up, what are the houses going to be made of? So,
In your documents, it's already.
we have, I think it's Bill Mann, 752 Spanish Oak.
Yes, I appreciate, to, you know. Want to talk a little bit more about the safety issue in the presentation. First, he indicated that what the report, looking at neighborhood. Will road over to redevelop it connect South Church. Our traffic comes down South Church Road that goes to country school. Get to that school. Road, University Drive, through our neighborhood. Neighborhood road from Bill and enough buses cannot pass on that road without the mirrors hitting each other. Roads do not have enough asphalt on to handle a lot of traffic. If you ride on those roads, man, they're cracked on both sides. So a lot of people in our neighborhood have no trees and big equipment has been on those roads. So we know what it's doing. The traffic flow will probably be double or triple what she is estimating. The only other road that connects to Walker Road, other than Power Line Road, Walker Road is the road going to the elementary school, is Garinger Road. Garinger Road goes to 87, down close to where 100 and 87 connect 100. So there's not enough roadways in there to carry the traffic that's necessary. The safety, the University Drive safety, you would think we've been over years a very safe place to drive. It's indicated that that's not. Indeed, many people have lost their lives driving down University Drive. It's a wide open road. What's going to happen? We have kids going to school. We've got kids going to E1. We get in these families of multi-units. The exit out of our neighborhood, People Road, is as a curve. I wish she could bring up the picture of looking down University Road to where we turn left in our neighborhood. It is very difficult for us to get in our neighborhood because we cannot even see around the curve for oncoming traffic. I have almost been here twice making a left-hand turn in my neighborhood. The road will not handle, our line will not handle the road necessary. It's either, I don't think. One of the slickest roads in the county during snow and ice storms is Power Line Road. University Drive over the wall.
You're 1 minute over.
Okay. Oh.
I'm just telling you, let's wrap it up. And I'm not trying to be rude, everybody. Our county attorney has been a stickler that we need to stick to it and make sure that we're giving everyone the same chance. So I'm just trying to be as fair as possible. Okay, so next on the list is, page, is it now? Sorry if I said that wrong. And 635 Maple Road. You're welcome to come up. Okay.
That's what's coming to the table. The road that's going to come through, it's going to come right in front of our office. I want to begin, this road is. One of the places, I believe. And the city, or county, or less, get filed, get no service. There is some. Jason Table Road. Traffic office shower board, the new development across development. And people coming through the next university, this other traffic. Yeah. Roads are small. Look at the Amazon. It's not set up for a lot of traffic. I'm not gonna- I'm gonna be both focused.
And the next on the list looks to be Marion Christian. At 653 Pickle Road.
Her name. In the estimate given for the increase in traffic, I think it's at 30 to 60. I think just our circle makes more than 60 in and outs a day. My main concern is again safety. We have no sidewalks, we have no street lights. We walk, a lot of us walk, children on bicycles, scooters, adults walking this and the street. What your diagrams do not make clear. They show the new development joining Cable. It will then go to Powerline. It's awful to turn left at Powerline. The morning elementary traffic trying to get to the school on Powerline is dense. What you have to remember now is that Cable, this development, Road A, connecting to Cable, will become a permanent cut through from Powerline to Shalford, but anybody and everybody, including Park Northwest. You've got hundreds of approved units there that are gonna have children going to the elementary school. They will all drive through this development and our neighborhood and then have to turn left on Powerline. So the whole neighborhood will be backed up. Nobody can move in the mornings to get to the elementary school. And you know, if you've got, 400 residential units in Park Northwest, they're gonna be a lot of children. So then do we add school buses to our neighborhood? Our streets are not 20 foot. I'm gonna do that for my dog. It is not 20 foot wide. It is gonna be a terrible safety hazard. I think you have to look at the whole neighborhood, not just the new development, the street connecting through. We proposed earlier to put up some breaks that the emergency vehicles can get through, so that through traffic can come from this development. And we were told that's not allowed. I don't understand it here in some other places. But, and I wonder, has there been an impact study done? How many more firemen we need? How many more policemen do we need? How many more wrecks are gonna be? Is that kind of study been done about Park Northwest and this development? But this is gonna cost the city a lot of money in taxes. It's gonna take years and years to recover. You're not gonna just get it and higher property taxes in a year or two. This is gonna cost your budget a lot. Thank you very much.
We have his numbers, chief. The other chief. Chief and chief, do we have any estimates or studies showing any of that information?
What numbers are you talking about?
The additional things that are planned, expansion needed for police and fire department.
We have, I have not. What the developments. Yeah.
And I had an email because, as everyone seems to be aware, this isn't gonna come in one fell swoop. These are in stages and phases. It takes time, to get the homes built. It takes time to get it sold and to start, dwelling there. But it is something that town manager and I are aware of. Discussed prior to budget meetings, some of my staff, is very well aware of. And we're always planning for growth because honestly, since I've been here in 20 years, we've seen more growth. I've seen more growth in probably the last 5 or 6 years than I ever thought I would. So for us, it's a good problem to have. It will cost money. But again, it's not going to be in a bell swoop. It's we're a small town and per capita, we're in good shape as it is, and this gives us a lot of room for planning and developing as time comes. So we're definitely ahead of the game. But we've had these conversations about all the developments going on in town.
Right, so next on the list was Jean Lowe, but I believe she just wanted to speak to Carter's. She left, right? Okay, we have next Jim Etheridge, I believe it's 746 Cable Road.
Thank you. As has been mentioned tonight, NC State Statute 160D defines the geographic scope of municipal extraterritorial jurisdiction, the authority in the extraterritorial area, and county approval of city jurisdiction. It appears this statute provides all powers to municipalities for areas in which the property holders are not part of the municipalities elected. Dr. Jim Joyce of the Institute of Government in Chapel Hill provided me with section 160D 202 to answer the question, who represents the fundamental rights, privileges, and immunities of the citizens in ETJs as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, specifically the 14th Amendment. Subparagraph C of the state statute defines representation of said property owners governed under ETJs as county commissioners, as I read. Continuing, this governing body may delegate its authority to municipalities upon agreement between the two governing bodies. Thus, the responsibility for protecting the fundamental rights, privileges, and immunities of us in this community falls from the county commissioners to you folks. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment states in part, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of the liberty or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within this jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Additionally, Coalfield versus Coryell provides for protection by the government, the enjoyment of the life and liberty with the rights to acquire property of every kind and to pursue and obtain happiness and safety, subject to nevertheless to the restraints as the government may justly prescribe for the general good of the whole. Note the phrase to pursue and obtain happiness and safety. In public meetings I have attended, the property owners, and they have tonight, have voiced many concerns regarding issues in safety in our neighborhood. I don't see any of those concerns on the agenda posted on the website provided to you this evening. I'm not saying you don't know about them. I just don't know. Property owners of Cable Road community are asking what are the benefits for this rezoning and new development to it. We don't see the benefits. Thus, we are asking for due process considerations for older established neighborhoods like us. There are others around. And we're asking that the developers and the town and the community work together somehow to see that the rights and privileges of the older neighborhoods are taken care of. To do this requires this body to consider larger issues at hand regarding zoning changes over the past 50 years. And folks, there are a lot of things to consider there, and we appreciate it. Consider those for us.
Mr. Beasley. (208) Orange.
Yes, ma'am. Thing to speak about the raised crosswalks. Was presented, planning board meeting, fill in. There's just already taken into her presentation. So I don't know if everybody is, support for that. Additional. I think the raised crosswalk needs to be close to the given use. I think there is a crosswalk at that border. Property, and there's a consultant here in town several months ago talking about the street for here and then. He brought to the people that attended those meetings. If you want to be pedestrian friendly. Their crosswalk intersects with the roadway. Have a raised crosswalk, so it encourages pedestrian friendly. Should be respected. Tonight, planning board, most of the concerns for safety and right several people.
Next is by Robert Young, 623 Campbell Road. You're gonna pass? Do you want me to come back to you? Okay. Let me remove my check mark, so I don't forget. Next we have Mr. Jim Sykes, 726 Spanish Oak.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Where's your demonstration?
Well, it's, that wasn't needed. Most of what you've heard tonight is because of topics that I'm interested in. And there is a solution. And I will move away from Spanish Road and Cable Road. There's a thing out there that's been in business for years, it's called the Transportation Improvement Program. And at one point in time, that included 87 going north, all the way to where 150 comes out of Greensboro. Included in that was Walker Road. And it extended through all the way over to South. We presented that to them. You watch University Drive each day. People generally come down University, take a left on Caroline. When you come out of Caroline, you go to District 7, Central Time. You came to the town here and said you need to make a right-hand turn lane. I just got to signal, have a right turn lane. Because if you go left, you're outside the state of North Carolina safety zone because you can't go straight across the elevations of that. If you, with your influence, go back to the state of North Carolina, some of the folks over there are going to merge already. You would probably take 60 to 70% of the school traffic off of University Drive. You come out of Shallow, take a left. The first street to the right carries you over to Yvonne Ossipee Road. That will satisfy that community. The state of North Carolina says that for Shallow comes in now, they have proposed to you to put in a right turn lane, if I remember correctly. Safety, okay. everything here is correct. When we were speaking with the guys here about the development, they had somebody working with them, Chandler Finance. And this has changed some. His estimate was 400 cars per day coming on a day. You know, it's simply not designed for that. You know, what's the compromise? What's the balance? When you look at it. Their maps up here don't show the connection coming up all the way from Cable Road into the power line. They don't show a property there that is owned by the university that controls. Gosh, 200 feet, yes, guys, 375, 400 feet. They can be utilized, keep track of all. So what you hear tonight is absolutely correct. There is a solution and there is balance, and some of the other folks will speak to that. Thanks for your time, guys.
And we probably don't know this right offhand, but Walker Road, what currently dead ends into Gazebo. Is it one property owner between the end of there and Shallower Church? Maybe you can just look that up on GIS. Maybe property owner. There's a driveway that comes from Shallower Church. I know. There's a driveway that it appears and goes back to. This is the possibility. Thinking around an improved network of roads in that northern area.
Got GIS up, so which
So
direction?
after where Walker Road got in, so between there and Shallower Church, so it's just north of Shallower Christian Church, there's a driveway it appears that goes back to a pond.
At minimum, you're looking at two property owners.
Yeah. That's to improve the network. If there was an option long term. to just think
Yes.
We actually have, one person to speak. We have one going back to Robert Young and Jeremy.
Very bottom.
Okay, there's no check under speaker not, so we'll add you right after Robert. Oh, do you want to go ahead? And you're 612 Cable Road?
Well, I think council and mayor, these are giving me. You guys have already heard a lot of problems with safety. I'll give you a little example where I come from, but prior to UPS, I was a safety director and trainer for UPS my last 12 years. My question is, what does the town of Elon stand for? What are you looking to protect? You emphasize it. You want to overload and keep overloading, you know you have roads. So, question is, do you want to continue to unload and then try to work out problems? You're gonna have with the streets, children crossing roads, college kids crossing roads, parents trying to get into schools and out of schools. I mean, you don't have a problem with that. That's coming out of cable. Some buses not making right. That's headed down. How? Right. Part of the road. Train. Your establishment, then the city and town. Okay. That goes in to Hall River, which then goes in to, so the part of the base. I mean,
Now we'll get that. But you're gonna have more time.
Right? Property on 600 Camp Road. As a background of me, I'm a police officer with the University Campus Police Department. I retired from the city of Durham Police Department. I did 30 years in the city of Durham Police Department. And I want to piggyback on what Mark said. The town of Elon, the police department, the fire department did do a phenomenal job to keep this town safe. Matter of fact, we're rated number 2 in the town of Elon for safety. So my personal experience has been at the Durham Police Department that when you build the neighborhoods, it brings in more crime. It attracts more criminals, more crime. Then connected to Cable Road, that's gonna be a gateway to our neighborhood. We're in the county, not part of it, it's all in the county. So just be mindful of that, that when the develop opens, we back up the town police department a lot. We're never greatly, that's one of the, be mindful of that happens. Right now, we are listed as number 2, that's one of the safest towns, which is pretty cool. And if we grow big and overload, with our manpower and citizens, where's that one?
Okay, Jeremy Redline.
So tonight I've heard quite a few things about the lack of benefit. I want to remind everybody that we're addicting to downzoning the property. So if you win and you run me out of town, what happens a year from now when somebody other than me comes in here and embraces the current zone? What are you going to do then? Because it's a possibility. What we cultivated and what we have brought to you is numerous conditions that we feel are on the life of Elon. We're trying to cultivate here with you folks. Mentioned multiple times about how dangerous power line is. Well, if it's so dangerous with ice and snow, once we build our neighborhood, why wouldn't you come through our neighborhood and have another way out? Why wouldn't you do that instead of going down this treacherous ice covered road? Have another option. If it's covered in snow and ice and school's closed, I want to be based on school, right? So again, you have another option. We're also providing miles of sidewalk, miles of greenway, not miles of greenway, but multiple feet of greenway trail, miles of sidewalk, inviting you into our community. You wouldn't have to walk on the campus, right? You could, but you could also walk through our community and enjoy all the parks. It's going to be open to the public. It's going to be maintained by us. So again, we're cultivating more benefits, more options. There was quite a bit of talk about Cable Square and the traffic backups that they're experiencing. Park Northwest is about to start probably in the next 30 or 40 days, starting the project. And so those roadways are complete. You'll have other options. Again, other options for the university and ways to get into
want to remind everybody, we didn't come into this lighthearted. We didn't think about, we didn't think about how we could maximize and push all this density on. We looked at the property. When we first saw it, we thought about how we could complement what you're already doing, but cultivating something special in the future. All right, so.
Before we close the public hearing, is there anyone here this evening? that would like- Yes, sir. Bill just-
Bernie Bryant,
And did you sign in?
no,
Oh, I see.
first,
691 Table Road. Okay.
I would like to ask the developers, we're talking about the greenway. Is that where you hit off?
So a greenway is a multi-use path, so think about, some of the wider top similar to the one that Burlington put in up Front Street along, like in front of the last floor facility where you can buy your scooter or skate or walk.
They show where you gonna be parking at. But you invited. You need to bring it back.
This particular greenway would not connect at this point. I think that it would be in the pedestrian lighting, like pedestrian and lighting plan. Mouthful. As to where that would be located when the town kind of hopefully connects to that. At some point in the future.
Like somebody else, and you mentioned, my college owns that part of that. Buck.
Anyone else? Okay, you had about 30 seconds, so if you want to take 30 seconds, you can have the remainder of your, according to my notes that I'm going to.
Brilliant. Get together. How many homes? Your University Drive and Power. They need to cut about a 30-foot right of way. So the people is turning in and out of Temple Road and have a clear vision all the way, pretty much all the way down Power Line. That needs to be addressed, and then they could clear out more on Cable Road, where there'd be more sunlight on these roads, and it would help.
Thank you. Okay, we will now close the public hearing. A couple of questions that I think if the staff could address between now and our next meeting. Is, so I have a question and more as well. So in the case of snow plowing, salting, so obviously Park East would be town versus Spanish Oak, which is county. How does that work if we're plowing? Do we just plow to the border and that's it? And then people traveling in that direction would then have to go through the snow and ice through Spanish Oaks? Like, how does that work in terms of?
I don't know.
I know just because I'm married to someone who works for Public Works and cleared roads and snow and ice and Nevin, and yes, they stop at their borders. So they literally clear, then they push it to the side and they are trained not to go out into the county or into the ETJ. You do stop at municipal limits. I would assume we would do the same in Elon as well.
I don't know if it's permissible in North Carolina for agreements, between, say, the county and the town to take over maintenance of, actually, it's the state, it's not the county. If that's something the council desired to do, we could certainly approach DOT to see if they would be interested in doing something like that. I assume it's a state road, right? Yeah.
The state normally plows our road, but we're usually the last road they plow.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, it happens quickly here in town. The public hearing has closed. It did.
In your development process out there, you have 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no time elements to that, so when we're gonna get to number 6? There's no time elements associated with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, when do we, as a community, get through? They say at the end of the development thing,
Even what.
there's no time.
What development thing you're talking about?
In your thing, it shows 6 different steps that somebody could come to present, say, plan. It doesn't say any time elements to it, say you have this to do this, you have this to do this, you have this to do this. That's in your ordinances. Down where you got a 6-step process, but there's no timeline attached. So I could come up here to this one and say, no, I've got to do a full plan. No, here it is again. No, here's it again.
Can you just
So
follow?
I will say that, so for example, this process state statute, if this conditional rezoning is turned down, you have to wait 1 year till you reapply.
I think it's a good thing if you come up here trying to be the engineer and then look to staff to say, oh, you be the engineer for this. Well, the first thing on the front end of the thing, you said, we don't do engineering, but people. Our statutes out there in front of. And they give timelines to what you will do when you won't do.
So there,
So if you go out there and you don't comply, you start all over again.
there is a process, I'm assuming you're talking about, like when it was submitted, then it went through TRC. There's not a timeline there. For example, this case went to 3 different TRC meetings. Hillel Pavilion went through 1 TRC meeting and got approval. So the time varies on each project. Then they had to have their neighborhood committee or neighborhood meeting. Then it went to planning board tabled it. So again, that delayed it a little bit. And now it's before the council. And they will inevitably at some point vote on the matter. And then we kind of go into the next step. But yes, I've seen cases go on, I don't want to say months, but I have seen cases go on for months at council level, even, so.
And,
it's
and
just-
what the council is doing right now, after hearing your testimony, hearing the presentation, seeing the information, they're asking staff, which some of it will probably be asking the developer, to answer some of their questions before they can get to a point where they're feel either they're ready to vote yes, or gee, answers don't suffice, we're gonna vote no. That's what they're doing right now.
Well, I think you describe that as a due diligence.
Okay.
And that includes the having police, having all the basic services that you're faced with in the South. Amen.
So another question is there a stop plan for the end of road A when it goes into table? I'm assuming yes. Other questions that have come up for any other members of the council? After hearing from them?
Part Northwest. I'm not. They're gonna be able, people can move it straight off that road into Park Northeast. I can be able to be done.
Park Northwest accesses University Drive.
Yeah. People are coming in.
And
Well, could that thing come through Cable Square? That's Cable,
just say,
Cable Square comes across. The Park Northeast. They're gonna be in the middle.
people, where's that? You know, just going.
Page one, page two. Page one is on the adjacent to. Very sure.
So the intent of the condition, we would put the initial width. Before we ever. There any. Somehow. Moving, period, writing. Construction. Well, western portions. Even though the property is going to be developed to this, on this site first, you're going to have all the access points from shallow for that. Construction. The land development portion of the projects. Easily measurable and tangible and clear delineation.
Questions from the council? Okay, sorry, I thought you were. There's been a lot of things brought up specific around safety and traffic, and I think it's important that you all understand we hear that. It's important to us that we stay number 2. I'd like to be number 1, but Pamhurst says 11 buffers and retirees. And not a lot of other people, unfortunately, so they often do that. You know, and one of the things that we said in Park Northwest, when that came before, were a couple of important things about what this process. So this is a rezoning process, right? And what conditional rezoning or conditional zoning says is that we can put stipulations on a zone or an area that we can't otherwise. And I understand nobody wants their nice wooded hundreds of acres behind their neighborhood to be developed, right? Look, I grew up in rural Ohio and West Virginia. I understand that more than anybody. In this particular case, the rezoning request is considered a down zone. Because what could be built there right now is way more. And I hear the concerns. I heard the concerns when we looked at Park Northwest. And this is, and I harp on this all the time. I contact our representatives at the state level all the time. They are hearing from me. But this is why municipalities should have more rights in terms of zoning. And right now, the state legislature wants to remove municipal ability to even do single family zoning. So that means that we wouldn't be able to say that that area is single family housing. It would be whatever the state says that we want to do. They already limit us being able to say what certain architectural features are. And I think, in my opinion, those architectural features when they are part of an LMO or land management ordinance, that's what makes a town that town. That's what really distinguishes a town from others. So that when you come in to Elon, or if you go into Gainesville or Burlington or wherever, you know that you're in a new place because they have planned it really well. We can't do that anymore. The state has taken that ability away. So what we can do is through conditional zoning, we gain some of that. So we can say, we only want party plane, we don't want vinyl. We only want brick, we don't want, X, Y, or Z. So we understand, and we're not moving on this tonight, just to make that clear, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that what they can put there right now, you think 400, so 129 total homes, and you add the attached versus detached homes. Average family size in the US is 3.13. That's an addition of 403.77 people. You add 75,000 square feet of retail and apartments, way more than 400. And so, again, we get it, but I want you all to also just ponder what I'm saying right now is that what could be built there today without ever coming to this board is way more than 400 people. That's what's allowed right now. And I know that's not what you want to hear. That's just the reality of where we stand today. That they could put a ton of apartments there. They could put retail there. They could put restaurants there. And a lot of homes. It was the same way with Park Northwest. I think this is different. We'll continue to look at it and ask questions, but although the public hearing is closed, we will not hear from the public on this matter in this room. This is a legislative process for this particular request. So if you have thoughts, understanding what conditional zoning can and cannot do, contact us. Our phone numbers, our emails are all up here. I have open office hours that you can contact the town and get on that calendar for. So I want for y'all to really think about that. But I also want you to understand that safety is very important. And our population is expected to double by 2040, right? And that what Envisioning One is? And the state has a housing shortage. They're gonna go somewhere, and again, I understand. But the state is looking at this, and they are doing everything that they can to limit our ability to classify areas of single family zoning. And if we no longer have that, this conversation is gone, and there's gonna be apartments everywhere. It's going to be a very different ballgame. So in addition to showing up here, I hope you will look into that online, read about what's going on at the state level, and contact the representative. It's definitely my soapbox, and gonna keep coming up because we are gonna grow. And people are gonna sell their property because they're making a lot of money, and developers are gonna develop. So the question is, do you want to develop what's allowed right now? Or would you prefer to develop 400 additional people, or 400-ish additional people based on averages? Or would you prefer to 1,200 or more? So our next meeting is in 2 weeks. So I would just ask that you all think about those things, read up on it, understand what exactly all of this could mean for you and for the town, and let us know. Let us know how you think and how you feel. And let's keep the dialogue going. Any other comments on that?
Thank you for the information.
Well, I'd like to say that if you would, like to stay for the free entertainment, we only have a couple more items on our agenda, so you're welcome to stay, but if you would like to leave, please quietly do so, you're welcome to do that. Thank you. All right, we are going to move to ordinances and resolutions. And some approval of fiscal year 2024 budget. Give it a moment. Then it's the main one. There you go. Right. I believe, Rich, you are, I mean, I'm not sure there's any presentation. We've heard about the budget, we've conversed about the budget.
I had not planned a specific presentation. I will say over the last 4 or 5 months, I've met with, the board held its retreat in February. The budget liaison committee met on 3 occasions to go over the proposals. We've had one discussion, we've had a public hearing. And so the last step is for you folks to decide if the budget you have in front of you is what you want to support or not support. And I'll be happy to go into any details if I can get my computer to call up the documents I've got, but so yeah, that's where we are.
Additional questions, comments, anything that's come up from our last discussion?
Yeah. And by budget, I assume you're referring to the budget ordinance. And the fee and everything, okay.
So we have, Randy has made a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 budget, grades and assignments and fee schedule. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. I know that was a lot of work. Mark, budget committee and Rich and all of our staff for all the people. Yeah, and our finance director, sorry. All right, letter A, under new business, we have our GIS agreement with the city of Burlington.
Super brief. So just to remind the council, if you're not aware, the town has had an ongoing contract with the city of Burlington for several years now to provide our GIS services now. The contract amount, is included in your general packet. It's based on the number of parcels within the municipal limit. It's also based on cost sharing that we do with both the city of Burlington and the city of Graham to cover the GIS specialist salary, capital improvement costs associated with the GIS, and any miscellaneous costs. The city of Burlington and the city of Graham council have approved the contract. I have the signed contract right here. I would respectfully ask that we vote on this tonight if we do need a decision before the end of the fiscal year. If you have any questions.
I have a couple questions. So there's only three municipalities participating. So what is Gibsonville and what is?
Lemon contracts out with a company in Georgia. little pricier, than what we're paying, for contracted with the company. I can't remember what Gibson Bill does, I feel like I've had that conversation with them as well. Don't we do it in? That's right, and they kind of need a job, they kind of need to do it. And so it's kind of these jobs, AGIS that they have, because often we use the county's GIS, it's still being split between Hoopover and Alamance. So we do use Alamance County for a lot of our data, but we also have our zoning data and other layers that we contacted Burlington, and we were looking at potential greenway downtown. The Burlington GIS person that we contacted with at no cost, because it's part of it, came out and GPS the greenway. Until we have more revenue and have an expansion of our staff, and one day we hire a GIS in-house, I think this is a great opportunity.
There's not a county GIS person that can do those things already.
So this county, they do not contract out. That's where I came from previously, the county contract with the city of Alamance, not. So we do have that data, and I use Alamance County GIS all the time. But there are some additional layers of information that we have on the site that Burlington has created.
We can use the Burlington website for GIS information from a public standpoint. Is that-
Yes, and I am working on making that more clear. Because yes, if you get, I mean, the wording is kind of awful on the public list. But it needs to be very clear, we do have GIS access from the planning department. You go to, I think it's on their maps page. Underneath is a link that takes you to our GIS portal. But I think they GPS, what did they recently GPS? Water meters, but we've got a lot of hydrant data, obviously in zoning data, that's where I go when I refer all the filters. You check on the zoning on the website. But yeah, there's a lot of additional information that's not on.
What number? 2000 something. Large percentage of universities. They're included, right?
2,367 parcels, yes, they have to count all the parcels within the municipal limits, whether
But I'll say a lot of the university parcels are very large,
they are.
so they may be 24% of the town, but they're not 24% of our parcels.
I guess I was getting it, so if we expanded, our number of parcels will go up, but the percentage, we're 8% of the total cost.
Yeah.
It's not gonna change that.
Questions for Walter?
Making a recommendation.
Okay. Motion carried. All right, moving on to report. I'll start with the town manager.
Okay. June 22nd, which is a Thursday, is Elon University's annual community concert. Held at on the corner of Haggard and O'Kelly. Live music and free lunches are provided, and that is open to all community members. Friday, June 23rd is movie night at Beth Schmidt Park, and the feature movie is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Free popcorn and free drinks are available. As of today, we got our last signature on our contract with Bar Construction. They're the construction company that was the successful bidder on building the plaza on West College. We have a pre-construction meeting this coming Tuesday, I believe it is, and they should be starting work pretty quickly after that. They're only gonna be starting this summer, yes. They have 154 days to complete the project, so they should be done late fall. Yeah. And I think you all are aware, Mary Kathleen Harvard, our former planner, has left. She's going to As I was writing it down, she's going to greener pastures in Greensboro, if you can imagine that. And interviews for her replacement, first round of interviews were completed today through our planning department and personnel in downtown. And I suspect they will be contacting candidates pretty quickly here to see if we can't find someone to join us. We're on top of getting that filled. That's all I've got.
The last meeting down to wasn't available, I did not put the down, so I was going to experience. Also, we have a new disc golf course at where they put it back in at the park. People that had used this park. Another thing. And look forward to appreciate the proclamation that surprise. I guess there is some other event that's happening.
Postponed.
Yes. All right. I was notified about it. I know I knew about it. What is that?
As of this morning.
All right.
Not a whole lot to share, other than, glad that Juneteenth is on a Monday. It's a 3-day weekend for our staff, and I just hope that we appreciate, I'm glad that proclamation. We'll see, I have not been able to attend the events because of things that have been going on, but I've been able to try quite a bit, see what was going on, and our numbers were just fantastic. Farmers market, even after the summer, continues to be very fun. So all of those kinds of downtown activities, I think, are really showing for us good fruits. Green, the sustainability will not be meeting this month. In July. So, yeah, we're still looking for volunteers. Continue to find folks. That's pretty much it. I got need to talk to you at the end of the meeting. It's just something very. It's a contract that was signed. With the social.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's really all I have. Like what's within the project? The local meeting, I mean,
That's this Friday, 10 room.
more. There's a lot of interest by volunteers. Process, looking forward to that. They have a couple questions about some TV around construction. One has been shut down. How long is it going to be closed?
Okay. Across from the inn, they are, one lane is closed. They're going to maintain a detour for that direction and bring people in on North O'Kelly. It is for the bell tower that they are building. Do we know anything about the stat? I know they had put it up. I wasn't aware they had actually started work on it yet.
It's hard.
Okay.
I was just curious about.
I'm not sure.
Being blocked.
Not blocked. It's set up so that one way so that the Station 18 has easy access into town.
And then also the construction started on the eventually.
Yep. Oak and Haggard shouldn't
And it was, it's been the old one, I'll make it.
If they're using that for material from the dorm project on Oak, I don't know.
Before we did the final push, it was like two. From the thirties before we did the final push. I'm hoping it's higher now. It was really gung ho in the beginning and then it slumped down a little bit. But the consultant said he got some very useful information out of it. So thank you to everyone who took it, particularly who did that map on the last screen, because he had a lot of data and a lot of interesting points. Also, all of you on for that.
That was a neat feature.
It was.
What it was really hard on the phone. I figured it out, and I'm like, if I would have done it on the computer, it's much easier, but. It's Mark,
Well, I echo what Lonnie said about.
I too enjoyed the, music showing too, the last one was well attended, so it was really nice to see, I know we counted over 200 ago. So we'll count, and it was well over 250, and that's with people coming and going. Didn't count Friday, but still a great. I think, and I don't know what influence we have of any sort, but I do think that we need to look at what can be done to improve our roadway network in our area. Because right now, we essentially only have north and south, other than neighborhood roads, and there probably needs to be at least one connection somewhere between Shalford and 87.
I think we talked about road extension, and maybe something we want to do.
Yeah.
But there is a soul there, it's trying to, connectivity. Think it's got one, it's low swamp.
Yeah, there's like a current on, there's kind of a water feature.
I think that's something maybe talk.
I do think that one thing I feel like we didn't necessarily address in our land development plan, that at least I don't remember if you were on that, right? I don't remember us talking about. It was more so, this is where we're doing this zoning, that zoning, whatever, but we never talked about the network, and I think that we need to do whatever we can to think a little more, be a little more future and forward thinking.
Well, comp plans can be a lot more than just land use. That's, access, connections, roads, utility development, all that, can be part of a comp plan and, makes it much more townwide impact.
And I think that if we submitted a project to the NPO, we probably need to, if we can, request a locker road. I think that too was a miss when we were be built and there to be a sidewalk because safety issues. No. I'm just wanting to be sure. I think that is it from me. So, oh, no, one other thing. There has been quite a bit of interest in our planned state park. So now that we have an approved budget, I about a negotiating committee to put together. There are several committees who are already looking at education and plans, and we need to really be a coordinated effort. So on our next agenda, I think we'll just at least getting that committee done. We have, you know, a good solid foundation, people who know what they're talking about, because I sure don't know anything about. Thank you everyone who showed up. I really always enjoy it. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Meeting with them.
All in favor, say aye. Motion. Meeting adjourned.